Hello guys, hope you're all doing alright. Yeah, so did a tiny bit of work off stream. I know I said I wouldn't do that, but I guess it will always end up happening. Nothing too major though, just a little bit of UV work and a little bit of topo adjustment. So there's two elements of the topology that I've changed. First is there used to be a loop that connected these guys, well it still does, connects these faces to these faces, but the loop used to be here, which meant that there was a really tight bit of dense, a little dense patch topology right there, which looked a little bit strange, and given it's right above the mustache would have caused a few issues to the resolution. So I've just moved that up further into the nose. I could probably move it a little bit further still, but there's fine. It's no longer like super dense in the visible part. I've also evened out the mouth topology a bit, so now the bottom half and the top half of the mouth have the same number of loops. And the way I did that is just looping more polygons through this kind of patch. They obviously all wrap around the front of the tongue and that sort of stuff, so it's all there, it all works. Could probably do with adding a few more loops in here, but at the same time don't really need to. We'll be moving things around at some point, obviously teeth or something that will need to be adjusted. In fact, I think the upper gums are too low and the lower gums are too low as well. So we'll need to kind of do a little bit of adjustment to that. But yeah, beyond that, nothing's really changed. This topology's really stretched and kind of needs fixing. But yeah, so we'll be working a fair bit on this stuff today. Let's just get this edge flowed out. And we'll be transferring the topology over as well. So let's just drag that out quickly. In fact, let me just make sure symmetry's on. Let's go World X. Yeah, so apart from that stuff, nothing really important happened. Oh yeah, I did the UV thing that I mentioned. Let me just quickly move these and then I'll show you guys what I did. Okay, so UV stuff, I went in and did a new UV set. So the new UV set I've added is for Groom UVs. So we've got our regular UV set. We will be adding the caruncles to this, and I will at some point be adding the eyeballs. Currently I'm using placeholder textures for the eyeballs, which means they have to sit on the first UDIM like they did in the Pero. But for now, they're working fine. We'll get those moved over to probably like these UDIMs later on. Caruncle is currently a placeholder, but I'll probably have to make a second UV set for these as well. But beyond that, it's just the Groom UV set. So the Groom UV set is just a single UDIM with everything cut apart. So all the body and everything is up in the top left. And all the areas where I'll be painting maps are like kind of scaled up a lot. So we can do like one 4K map, and that will allow us to get the eyelashes, it will allow us to get the eyebrows, the beard and the top of the head. We still have UVs for everything else, but I don't really need maps for the peach fuzz. So we can get away with just having this like much lower res regions. Important note to make with this stuff is that the Groom UVs, the textile density, like consistency of it, is not important like at all. Just because I'm not using like tileable maps or anything. So the eyelids are much larger than everything else compared to like, you know, the physical size. And that's just to allow like lower res maps to get more detail. So when I'm painting those kind of eyelash maps, like the density and stuff, it's going to be a little bit more precise that way. But yeah, so then map 1, I don't think I really changed anything on map 1. That's still the same. Map 1, I'm not entirely sure what it's for right now. I probably will strip it out at some point. It's just kind of, I always like to have a map 1. But in the case of, you know, I'm going to be grooming with Yeti, so I really don't need Groom UVs to be in map 1 like I would with Xgen, at least for the Maya Paint tool to work. And texture UVs are kind of my go-to for like how I set stuff up. So yeah, I might move texture UVs over. I don't know yet. Oh, let me just unfold this guy. Oh, I said unfolded already. But But yeah, so that's that done. So I'm going to get that exported and start mapping it to my sculpt. Obviously it already lines up to it. It's now just a case of kind of getting the sculpt projected back on. Displacement will be done on the touch UVs, so I'll be exporting an OBJ of this UV set. So let's get that exported. Export selection. Let's go to modeling, Maya exports. I'm going to do body geo. I'm going to do the same with the caruncles. Cool. Let's freeze transforms on those actually. Modify, freeze transformations. They're just going to act as placeholders in ZBrush. Export selection. Caruncle geo. Cool, cool. And eyes we've already got in there. So let's hide all the hair stuff. Okay. Append. Sphere. Let's go into import. Modeling. Maya. Then exports. Body. I'm just going to add the caruncle as well. So mine's drawing blank there, caruncle geo. Cool. So we got all that working. Right, so I guess let's just start the projection process. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to merge this stuff. So merge down. Okay. So we got our mesh, which is working. We just want to grab, make everything else invisible. And we're going to want to give some polygroups for this guy so we can mask out like the inside of the mouth and all that. Just because we don't want that projecting. It'll cause issues if it did. So let's just go to polygroups. Auto group with UV. And that will create our polygroups. We're just going to use that to hide the insides of things. How am I going to get inside? I guess we can just temporarily do that, right? Okay. So what I'm going to do... I'm going to group visible, so I can select this stuff a bit more easy. Okay, so there we go. That works a lot quicker now. So go to geometry. Let's go to subtool. Project. And we're going to project at this first subdivision level, which shouldn't do anything. Well, it shouldn't really do anything. Looks like it did a little bit of something, but that's fine. So, how you doing? I'm doing well. How are you doing, man? Okay, so let's subdivide that. And I'm just going to project again. So let's first select that, invert, there we go. Okay. Let's turn off that. Okay, so we've gone a subdivision higher, I think. We did. Let's project again. Okay, and then let's go one subdivision higher. This will be our last one. Pretty good day. That's great to hear, man. Cool, so let's just quickly color fill object. Color fill object. Cool. Go down to the lower subdivision level. We import our base mesh. And we just need to smooth out any areas that kind of got a bit broken. Which is like these ones. So let's do that. When I'm going to do this, I'm going to just grab the smooth stronger. So it's going to shift, lightbox, brush. And we just want to find these smooth brushes, which are there. And then we got smooth stronger. Smooth stronger just works better on high res meshes. So I'm just going to smooth that out. And let's get rid of all this stuff, all this junk. Some areas I won't be able to reach, so those will be interesting to figure out. Okay, there we go. So once we got all that, which I think is it working, or is it fix this as well? Oh, the bottom of the hands and stuff is going to be messed up, isn't that? There we go. So let's go back to the lower subdiv, import, and grab this guy. There we go. Everything's projected. We've got our subdivisions, which makes sculpting a whole lot easier. And we have our UVs, which allows us to actually get our sculpt into a helpful tool. So let's just switch this back to the regular smooth brush. Just fix out some of these areas. So let's focus on. Oh, I lost the polygroups again. Alright, let's just go down to lower subdiv. Go to polygroups. Should work. Just inflate these back together. to simplify my poly groups at some point. It's actually kind of endearing watching all this. There we go. I know the inside of mouth isn't too important in this project's case. I just want to get something that's a little bit better on thickness. Obviously, it kind of goes without saying that the yeah, that gum is well in the wrong place. But at the very least, we can work at least briefly on all this stuff. I need to get a dental map at some point. Put everything together. Honestly, that will do for this project. So let's get my trusty reference. It's feeling a lot healthier. The goal for today is just to get everything feeling vaguely right. We need that eyelid thickening out quite a lot. Oh, that, sorry, chronicle area. Actually, let's do the inverse of that. Let's mask the ones I want to move. I need to get this corner kind of lined up. Okay, move that. Probably have to do a few of these adjustments in Maya. So I feel like these polygons here are a little bit too tight. There we go. A little bit better. Let's work on the eyelid here a little bit. The thickness is a little bit uneven, in like a really weird way. Okay. So we've fixed the main problem areas. Let's just quickly project this area. Project. Project. There we go. So we don't need all that stuff now. Import. So I feel like we need a little bit more definition in this corner again. So now we also need to go into the brush. Let's go into modifiers. Set modifier to 0 so that the damp standard brush doesn't pinch anymore. And let's just super quickly find a good ref. Because ours is missing just a little bit too much definition to get that line. Like, it's just refusing to get it, so we just need it to be a little bit more defined than what we currently have. Not a huge amount, I want it to be subtle, but we do need to do it. Okay, so let's make this smaller in the corner. Cool. So go to stroke, lazy mouse, 0.01. Okay, so that's good.
Well, here we are, back in the hot, muggy streets of New York.
That might be all it needs. I have to do it without moving my camera, I didn't know that. Inflate brush. So I guess we do our first displacement test, right? Because now we've got something that works. So let's do that. I'm going to save my scene. To take this to ZBrush, and then we're going to leave the blockout stage. Version 12 is the latest one. Let's wait to make sure this one's in sync. Save version 13 out here. So it's no longer a blockout. Okay. That's 600 megs, so we need to make sure we turn off undo history saving. That goes from 600 meg to 40 megabytes. Nice. Okay, so I need to decide on a pipeline for like how I name all my stuff. Projects, personal projects, John Singer Sargent. So, do I create a folder in texturing? I think yes. I think what I'm going to do is in modeling, I have Maya exports publish, which I might get rid of that and move it to a 01 modeling. Yeah, I'll get rid of that. Cut from there, put into here. And I'm going to rename that. This will break my scene. The reason for the exclamation points at the beginning and end is because an exclamation point, if I remember correctly, is the first character in ASCII. So it will always be organized first in any sorting kind of algorithm that exists. At least that I'm aware of. But yes, that's in there now. So I guess we'll do the same in text string. We'll do new folder called publish. And so this is where all textures get saved. So anything that would be an image file, so in this case ZDisp or ZBrush displacement, I would consider to be in that list of things. So naming, obviously the file's going to be called ZDisp, but for cleanliness sake, I could dump all my files in here, but because I've got quite a lot of UDIMs, it might be a little bit of an issue. And within this, I'm going to need groom maps and texture releases. Although groom maps, I guess, wouldn't go in here. Oh, it kind of would. What's your plan for the characters here? I'm going to try at least to do Yeti. Yeti honestly sucks for digidoubles. Like, it's really not good. I just want to kind of give it a go. I've used it multiple times in the past, and it's always been overly cumbersome. But at the same time, I haven't used it since Yeti 4 for a proper digidouble. And Yeti 4 did quite a lot of changes in regards to clumping, which I believe will make it a lot easier to use. So I'm just going to give it a fair shot. You know, it's not worth writing off the software for life. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so in terms of naming textures, so if I just put, now that I'm doing a higher res setup, if I just put all my files in here, this will end up being massive. So what I then need to do is create folders for each thing. So in this case, I'd create a folder for ZBrush displacement. So like that, ZDisp. The confusion then is, when I write all these files out, do I want to have ZDisp twice? I guess it doesn't really matter in the case of ZDisp, because ZBrush isn't as robust for saving out maps as like Mari, for example. In Mari, like, you can set up templates to save things the same way every time. It's really helpful. Let's see what we can do with this. ZBrush plugin. Again, I'm just going to save the scene. So, Z plugin. Let's go to multi-map exporter, and I want displacement. I don't need 8K. In fact, for now, I don't even need 4K. I just need 2K. I think 2K should be fine at this resolution. This amount of UDIMs. So let's go to our ZBrush displacement settings. We want something level 1, that's fine. Why does that keep disappearing? Come on. So we want mid to be 0 because it's 32-bit. We don't want to smooth the UVs. We want 32-bit EXR. Don't need adaptive. Scale 1 is correct. Okay, so let's go file names. We want ZDisp and we want UDIM. That's all good. So I guess we'll just do an export, right? So this will take a little while, just because it's quite a lot of UDIMs now. So what I'll probably have to do going forward is do lower res exports and tests until the end of a stream, because 8K with this many UDIMs is going to take a long time to export. I mean, hell, this is 2K and it's already about 5 seconds per UDIM, but then each subdiv above that is 4 times. So it goes up quite rapidly. Okay, so we got that. Let's just quickly check that. Yeah, there's all my ZDisp. Ah, okay. Just gonna delete these. And go into file names. It's quicker for me to save these back out with that than it is for me to rename all the files individually. And now it's saving them with the .udem. So let that do its thing. Cool, got that. Yeah, okay, so let's get into Maya. We're going to want to create a displacement, so it's going to create a little cube for now. Assign new material. It's going to create a Arnold shader. Arnold sand surface. Oh yeah, I don't want to delete that. Right, okay, so displacement. Cool. Create a file node. So if you're wondering why I've created this little cube, this cube is so that I can assign a material to it. And I'm going to use this basically to store textures, because if I go edit, delete unused, it will delete anything that's not assigned. So if I have a little object just for like any textures, obviously I could save stuff to this guy, but for now I'm going to keep it separate. I had a reason, but it's escaping me right now. Okay, so that's set to raw, which is what we want. Udem. I'm just going to plug that in to this guy. Cool. And then let's go save our scene. Okay, let's go to Arnold, Utilities, TX Manager. Don't need that. Okay. That's just going to create a TX. That was shockingly fast. Okay, I'm not going to complain. Let's go into Katana. And now we're just going to set up a basic material. So I'm just going to rejig stuff on my other screen. Okay, so we're going to need to fix this, because this is looking for the wrong place now. Let's browse. Let's go to projects, personal projects. Oh. Let's go. There we go. Do a quick test render. Okay. So we're going to want to create a new material for the skin. So let's get started on that. We've got our material here, so we're just going to call this, let's name this NMC debug mats. Let's keep it all lowercase as the other one is. I'll get that eventually, I swear. Okay. So for now, we'll disable that because we don't need it. We're going to create a new network material create, an MC, drag that to this guy. NMC, skin, mats. I'm just going to create this one and call that skin mat. And the root location for these guys is going to be this. Cool. And let's get that assigned. Create a new one. MA skin mat. We want to assign that with any object that has, I guess in this case we just want to assign it to body group, right? So let's create a custom. There we go. That's that assigned. Create a standard surface. Create a image node. Image ZDisp. Cool. File. Let's grab our files for that. Text string. Publish ZDisp. Just going to replace that with, I believe you do it like this. Cool. And then I'm also just going to replace it with an expression. Let's see if I can remember what this stuff is called. I need to go to my project settings, user. So this is, see if I can remember how to do this. In fact, why remember how to do it when I can just go copy it? Project.user.project.root. Okay, cool. Just copy that. Okay, is that how I use Udemy? All lowercase. Yep. Okay. Let's give that a test run. Let me just try something. Alright, displacement might not be enabled for the mesh. Let's create a multiply. so it is working. Weird though, it seems to be acting more like a bump. Though it is definitely moving things around. I think it's just a case of the mesh doesn't have much detail in it, does it? Let's go to normals. Ah yeah, there we go. It's catching some artifacts in here. So it's definitely working, although there's something odd to it. Wait, is that line in there at all? I guess it kind of is. In a way. Although that still doesn't seem right. Oh, because it's the wrong UV set. There we go. So we need to create a UV transform. UV underscore transform even. Put that into color. Put you into there. Then in here, we call this texture UVs. Okay, let's try that now. Okay, it's just using the first UDIM everywhere. Yeah, this side's correct, which is the first UDIM, I think. Okay, so UV transform is clearly not picking up our UDIMs. Kid screaming outside. Okay, let me give this a quick Google. Arnold UV transform UDIMs. Is there a control actually in here? Oh, there is. Alright, let's bypass this. Try that. Looking promising. Yeah, I said it's working. Cool. Alright, there we go. Hey Emery, how are you doing? It's weird, this material doesn't seem to be... Wait, it seems to still be using the old material. It's not just me, right, seeing that. Oh, wait. Yeah, I know what's causing this now. Okay, let's add Custom. There you go. So the reason for that is because I've got this. Okay, so now I need to fix the material because that shit's glowing. So let's go into here. Let's go to albedo. I'm just gonna pick the color for now. Okay, spec. We're just going to set a default roughness of, let's say, 4.5. And we'll put some subsurface on there. So now I've got that, and that's all working. It's good to see. This bit's a little bit torn up. We can fix that. And granted, it will be covered by clothing. Something a little bit funky happening in here, which we'll need to solve. But let's just get some subsurface in. So subsurface scattering, let's go like 0.7 for now. The color has to be the same as the other one. The radius, I'm going to give a skin-like thing, which is 0.35 and 0.2-ish. Set this to random watt v2. Set that to 0.1, I think. And anisotropy, I don't know yet. Might be a little bit too much radius. Although once colour's been added in, this might all fade away. There's a little bit of a bug happening there. Check on normals. Oh, we might be subdividing the UVs. Linear. I think linear is the one that we want, because linear doesn't smooth the UVs, right? Oh, this needs to go higher as well. I don't have any subdivisions. Oh yeah, that's better. Actually catching the geometry now. Probably need to go a subdivision higher as well. I'm learning a lot from your videos, man, Yob. You're much better than my entire school as a teacher. Thanks, and my condolences. Shut up, Becca. Yeah, like, I'm sorry that's the case, honestly. Obviously, universities do have a problem sometimes, or schools. I don't know if you're at university or like a college. I'm happy, like, if you want to send stuff or ask questions, by all means ask questions. I don't like students struggling with bad courses. Alright, so let's create. I'm just gonna widen all this out a bit. What's this one for? This one is AOC iFibers. Okay. High volume, that's all good. And this one's going to be AOC skin. Hey Dominique, how's it going, man? And I'm doing well, thank you for asking. That's going to be the cause of a lot of my issues right now. Okay, let's get... just want to test that out. This should still work now. This shouldn't look any different. Yeah, it looks like it looks the same. That's good. Alright, cool. I've realised what I did wrong then. So, at some point, we do need to get the eyelid and actually add some overlap. I also want to quickly add a shader for the caruncle. Caruncle, I'm going to add another set of UVs. I need to add a set of UVs for a ramp, for if I want to do any like transparency effects to help it blend. So we've got texture UVs in which it does quite a lot of work. Like that'll be the ones I actually paint on. But yeah, anyway, that's working, so that's what we want to see. Let's quickly go into AOC skin. Okay. So we're just going to use this to search for anything called body geometry. We're going to go I think we got 4 subdivisions in ZBrush, so let's go up 2 more subdivisions. Plus, when we add the super high res stuff, we're going to need the extra bit of geometry. There we go. So at this point it won't make much of a difference, but it will make a difference later. Like, it makes this look a little bit deeper. Yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So we're starting to get somewhere. And we can compare this to when we had the raw sculpts. It should look pretty similar. Yeah, there we go. Looks pretty much identical. Minus the sharpness change I've added. And obviously the eye movement. That's good, because that's what we want. Minus the new blending in the neck. That area is still a little bit kind of fucked, so we do need to go in and fix that at some point. But, other than that, I it's all working. Eye white's got whiter, unless it's just a rotation thing. Okay, so let's do a test camera where we get a lot closer. And I'm just going to quickly assign a test material for the caruncle. So let's just disable. I'll put you there. I'm gonna color that. Put it red. Color that as red. So anything fleshy will be red. Anything eye base will be blue. What kind of hours are you usually working a day? Standard 9:30 to 6:30. I don't really do overtime. I've done overtime, like in the last 6 months, I've probably done a combined 5 hours-ish of overtime. Unless I'm forgetting any time I did. And most of that was in a 2-week span for deliveries. Okay, so we're just going to go... yeah, we need to disable all these guys. Cool. And then do a quick test render. Save my scene. Just going to do a quick test render from this camera. And then while that goes, we're just going to go to this guy. Duplicate him. This one is called Caruncle Mat. Okay, let's quickly assign that. So we've got Caruncle. We just want to assign a nice little material to that. Cool. That's exactly what I expected it to be. And geometry wise, we want it to look for that, which it should find. So if we go into attributes, yeah, there we go. Cool, so that's working. Let's just do a test on that. So it's gonna probably freak out with displacement, but okay. Specular, we're just going to make you a fair bit glossier. In fact, actually, I'll go into coat. I'm gonna add a water layer. Let's do something like that. Coat roughness there is fine. And then subsurface is going to be much, much higher on this guy. I'll say much, much higher. Just test render that. I'm still brand new to all these 3D sculpting and VizDev stuff. The amount of knowledge I should learn is huge and a little intimidating, but I hope I can create something that I can show you proudly. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, we've all been new. Don't worry about that sort of stuff. I started learning CG about 10 years ago, just shy of 10 years ago, and I still have a lot to learn, but I don't want that to scare you, because at the same time, I'd say after about a year, 2 years, I was starting to be able to make things that looked okay. Obviously, you know, doesn't look great by an industry standard, but it looked fine. There was nothing wrong with it per se. And so it doesn't take long to get to that kind of stage. Just enjoy the process, and you'll get where you want to go. Okay, so subsurface color. Let's pick these colors. In fact, let's copy that as a baseline. Then we'll just kind of bring that back towards a more standard color. Okay, so from there we will desaturate and make it a little bit darker as well. Okay. Might be a little bit brown, but we'll see. That should do as a placeholder before we do any texture work later. So I'm just going to quickly enable the cornea material and the fluid one while I'm at it. The lens has got a grey material on it. Cool. So I'm just going to enable all these. Meniscus we don't actually have yet, so I'm just going to allow that to go, and then let's go to ZBrush. So, for this displacement stuff to line up correctly, we will need to take this model back into Maya. Because obviously, like, we're currently sculpting displacement for a model, you know, a model that we've got in ZBrush, but then we're applying it to a model that's in Katana, which isn't necessarily the same geometry. It's one of the dangers with doing kind of iterative sculpting like this. That was just word soup. What I meant to say is, so as we sculpt in this, the low poly is going to be moved around, obviously, but then we're extracting displacement and applying that to a scene where the model hasn't been moved around. So I need to make sure that before I kind of finish for the day, I apply this mesh, take it to Maya, make it so that Katana can read that mesh. And then that will make it so that displacement is a bit more accurate. Something like that works fine. Okay. That's reflecting all sorts of crazy colors. Unless that's the subsurface. Where is it? Yeah, it's the subsurface. Okay, I have that rendering. In fact, we need to kill that. I'm going to export 4K out. So let's first off get our low res, export him out, and we're just going to go to exports. Don't want that. We don't really need anything other than smooth normal, so we don't even need the UVs because we're going to be using it as a blend shape. So export. Let's go to. Well, I guess I could do that in. No, that would be a really bad workflow. Okay, so let's go to modeling, ZBrush. I'm just going to go new exports. No, actually, that's not a way to go. Let's go to Maya. We'll just save over it for now. Okay, so that's that exported. Let's go into Maya. We're just going to import modeling, Maya, exports. It's a very slightly different shape. We want to blend shape U to U. So we go into deformation, blend shape, go to the outliner, hide the new mesh, select the old one. Deform, blend shape. There we go. That's more like it. So the reason we do it that way around is because we get to keep all our UVs. So we got all the UV sets still, not just the original UVs that we had in ZBrush. There we go. So we got that. So we're going to export that back out. Export selection. Save that back over this. And we're going to set all this stuff again. Go to cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. We're going to go scene graph, utils, flush cache. We don't need to go scene graph, I just made sure it was all closed. Go back into Maya. Modeling, publish. Save over that. So that will update the model slightly. And we're just going to go to ZBrush, Z plugin, export 4K, create all maps, texturing, publish, ZDisp. This will take a bit more time, so we'll see how well this goes. In the meantime, feel free to ask questions. Literally just got to leave that going in the background. I think that's all of it done. There we go. Cool, so let's just go into Maya. We're going to go into Arnold, Utilities, TX Manager. Select this guy. Just gives it a moment. Remove TX, which means that my folder now has no TX files again. So then we can just regenerate them. This is one of the reasons I like rendering a katana, is if you do that in Maya, it's going to have them all cached, and it sometimes just refuses to let go. Like, it's really quite bad for it sometimes. There we go, we got all our TX files back. So with doing all that, we now have an updated model in Katana. And because of the wonders of node-based workflows, all the shaders are assigned, there's no changes that need doing. So what we should see is a little few wrinkles down here, which we're currently at too shy of an angle to actually see. Typical. Yeah, I can't see them. Okay. I will not have this Maya slander. That's the thing, like, I've always found, like, with Maya, when I try to clear the caches, it very rarely actually lets go of the caches. Like, it used to happen all the time in my streams, where sometimes I just have to close Maya and reopen it for it to clear the cache. Which got very tiresome. I'm sure there's something that I was missing. Like, one thing I would quite like to stress, especially with Emery being here and being new to CG, 9 times out of 10, when a tool isn't working, it's user error most of the time. That still happens, like, to me after all these years, and it will continue to happen to you. It's a fun little thing that we have to deal with. Okay, there we go. So, we need some high frequency displacement, but I'm going to be using that using scan stuff. So, I won't be doing that today. So what's the best thing for us to do? I mean, we could start on some basic textures, just to get things blocked in. How long have I been streaming for? An hour 30, yeah, it's too short of amount of time to end the stream. Because I need to chat to James Busby. I don't know. What would you guys like to see me do? Can't do the high frequency displacement stuff yet. I guess we could actually get the eyelid pulled back, so it's actually inside the eye. Yeah, we'll do that. That's come back again. Let's go specular direct. Yeah, we got that little wrinkle. Cool. We also need the meniscus, which I might actually, yeah. Let's throw a meniscus in there, because it's a really quick thing to throw together, and it can make us a shockingly big difference. So to do that, I'm going to grab both of these meshes, duplicate them, combine them. So let's go combine. I'm going to delete most of it. Oh, we need to duplicate that as well. Okay, let's go into here. I got you and you. Combine. Okay, just hide that group. Cool. So we're going to use this as a base. So let's also turn off symmetry. I'm just working on one side for now. Okay, so let's use a live object. Go into quad draw. Okay, and we're just going to start by doing that. So this is quite a large meniscus. And that is something I am very aware of, is the fact that it's quite a large meniscus. We'll just line up the camera pivot. Quicker to do that actually. Okay, so we're just going to okay, there we go. So let's ballpark the placement of all this, because meniscus isn't that like in your face, it's really quite subtle. Just select this guy, delete his history, and go back in. Hey Michael Robson, how's it going, man? Don't know why I said your full name there. How's the elf goblin thing going? The armored dude with the pointy ears. I've seen him a few times. He's looking really, really cool. I forgot the name of the character though, I'm afraid. Okay. Too many stuff to do. Yeah, I definitely get that. But slowly getting there. twice better. Let's do that instead. Right. I'm a fucking idiot sometimes. There we go. Stuff like that will work. So we'll be going one subdivision higher than this. Once we've got it in the right place. Just got excited by the concepts. And after a while I realised it might be more complex to execute than I thought. And that's the best kind of project though. The ones that kind of unfold. Well, I say best kind. They're the kind of project that teaches you the most. Like the Pero is definitely a case of that for me. And I guess so was Sticky Monsters. But Sticky Monsters is more self-imposed than the Pero. Okay. So we got that working. Let's quickly select this guy. We're going to... I guess you need to move out here. You need to move out here. Add edge flow. Let's undo this and inflate that out. I'm doing Scott Eaton's digital figure sculpting class in July. Have you ever taken it before? I've watched a few videos like online, but beyond that, no. It's a class that I really want to attend though, because I used to have a friend who did really cool like black culture sculpts. Like he did a lot of like, what would be the correct word? I can't remember the name of the actual like style that he went for, but it was very heavily inspired by like African art. And a guy called Deji, and he did Scott Eaton's course. He was a really cool guy. And he always like recommended, like he couldn't recommend it enough, honestly. He was like, you must do this course. Okay, let's bump these out. Let's grab these two, add the edge flow. Grab these two, add the edge flow. Pull that in, pull you out, pull you out. Okay. We're just going to scale that one up a tiny bit. And we're going to grab this guy, push him in a tiny bit, and then we're going to insert a loop. And for this guy we're just going to add edge flow and then bump it in a tiny bit. And that'll do as our like meniscus mesh. Wait, is KSI's little brother? No fucking way, really. Does he sculpt? If that's actually him, that's hilarious. Yeah, I used to hang out with him. Not in person. We had a Facebook group called Hangout Hub. Me, him, Andy Chen, Kenneth Doyle, and a few of us used to hang out and just sculpt together. And yeah, Deji was one of them. He was really cool. If that's actually KSI's brother, that's hilarious. Oh, damn it. That'd be so funny if it was. It's like if you were about to tell me that KSI's brother does like Afro art and did the fucking course, I would have I would have been so confused. It's like that is not the cinematic crossover that I expected from this year. Let's get this bumped out there. So when I smooth all this. Okay, let's bump that out a little bit. So we're going to grab that, go a subdivision higher. I guess we don't need to go to division higher right now, because we are still in that kind of early stage. So let's just grab this. I'm going to call this meniscus geo. Let's mirror that. And then that needs to go in the eye group, really, doesn't it? And so does the caruncle, but yeah, let's put that in there. I feel like it more accurately belongs in the caruncle. Let's just put this in preview cornea, so we just get a little bit of shine from it. Okay, let's get this exported. So let's go cache, Alembic, export selection to Alembic. I wonder what this is. Okay, let's get the meniscus in there. For now, I'm going to disable all the geometries. I'm going to grab this meniscus. Go into IMATs. Do we have a... we do have a meniscus material still. It's good to see. Which has all the noises. Cool, so that's all set up, ready to go. Wait, so that actually might be just straight up ready to go already. Let's just grab these guys. Go into... in fact, no, we'll need to render from the other camera, won't we? Okay, let's go into here. So that's what he said to go to the right place. Scene graph. It's moved a little bit, so we're just going to search for anything containing the word meniscus. Cool. And render. We have a visibility thing here. So this ray flag thing that I've got set up, I'm just gonna rename that AOS, Arnold Object Settings. So this is a trick that I learned not too long ago, which is meniscus works really, really well if it's only visible to camera and to nothing else. So I'll let it render a little bit with it visible in all the flags, and then I'll turn that off and you'll see what it does for the render. What render are you using? That is Houdini, right? It's not Houdini, this is Katana. Although I see why you'd think it's Houdini. It's a node-based tool by the Foundry. The Foundry were nice enough to, again, disclaimer, just so no one accuses me of being a shill. The Foundry do give me free software these days. So I have Mari, Katana, and Nuke provided by them. in exchange for like educational content and asset use, basically. There we go. But yeah, so you see how without the object settings, it's got this like really dark shadow, and then with the object settings, everything gets a bit brighter. And that's because now this meniscus is only visible to camera. It doesn't affect the shadows, it doesn't affect refractions or reflections of other objects. It just goes in, adds a little bit of speck at the eye, and that does this. We've also done a little bit of update to the geo, but you can ignore that. But yeah, so that kind of blends things in together, which I find just insanely helpful. So let's get all these enabled again. So, Mike, what time zone are you in? Are you in the same time zone as Montreal? Or are you, like, elsewhere in America, or are you just up really late in Europe? No, I accidentally just disabled that material. South America. Ah, fair enough, man. That's really cool. $10 PM here. Ah, that's fair enough. So you're an hour ahead of me. 9 PM here, as you can see, I guess. Okay, so let's get into the normals pass. In fact, I should have done that for the other. So you can barely see it, which I guess is what you'd expect. It's distorting it a little bit, which is good. Wonder what's causing this. There's no normal thing happening there. And it's in the SSS. Let's go to Specular Direct. Yeah, I really like that bump it gives at the bottom of the eye. So, since I don't want to end the stream early, shall we do a little bit of lighting? Be moving to Irvine. Nice, man. Just quickly searching. Oh yeah, I thought it was California. Nice one. And what is it you moving to Cali for? Job stuff, I guess? Oh wait, didn't you get a job at Blizzard not so long ago? If that's what you're moving for, like, congrats, dude. That's really, really cool. Blizzard's one of those, like, dream companies. Yeah, I think that's working. Yeah, I'm still there. Nice, man. Congrats, that's awesome. Blizzard's one of those companies where I look at them and go, Jesus Christ, like, they do such cool stuff. Okay, so since we've only been streaming for just shy of 2 hours, I can't be doing the high-res skin stuff yet. And I don't really want to start texturing, like, after the first part of the stream. I want to texture, like, from the beginning of a stream onwards. So with that in mind, I could either focus on getting the topology of the eyelid, like, actually tucking behind. I could spend it debugging this single red dot, or I can spend it getting a bit closer to the lighting. I'll leave that to you guys. Meanwhile, I'm going to let that clean up a little bit. I also at some point need to set up Lentil, which is Xeno's camera shader thing for bokeh, because it makes some really beautiful images, but I still don't know how to set up Arnold images in Katana. But I just have no idea. Installing Lentil itself shouldn't be too difficult. I just literally can't find anything on doing the actual setup. You think light? Alright. Okay, so the setup already has the general light direction. Like, the shadow on the eye is about right. So whatever we do, we need to make sure that the light maintains roughly the same angles. With that in mind, I'm going to duplicate this gaffer. And I'm just going to call this gaffer. It's not going to call it light rig, let's just call it HDR eyes. Cool, then let's duplicate that. Cool, and then this one we're going to call light rig. Disable that guy. Okay. So we need to make this guy way, way darker. Because we want to match the shadow darkness first. I'm going to keep it in the outdoor lighting for now, just because I haven't quite figured out yet how to desaturate something in here. Like, I don't know how to add extra layers to this. I know that's incredibly basic, but the UI is not that friendly in this. Something I need to chat to the Foundry guys about. It's like, it's not that intuitive how to add layers to this. Like, if I want to add a color correct to this image node, how do I do it? I'm guessing there's like an edit material thing I can do, but either way, we'll get this pulled back. So it's going to go -2 exposure. Okay, it's a little bit darker, tiny bit darker. So let's go -3 exposure. I always try to match shadow brightness first. Cool. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move that onto my other screen for a moment. That might be a little bit too dark. Let's go 2.5. Let's add a... I guess we'll go over rectangle light. So... Well, I guess technically I should use a portal. For now, let's keep that as is. Let's go with a quad. Go to the viewer. And do we have any good tabs for lighting? Layouts, lighting. Cool. So we're just going to go into that viewport. We got our light opened up. And we're just going to set this up to do that. Save our scene. Start a live render. Oh, wait. Start a live render. Okay. So set to normalize, good. So main thing is that we need to highlight in here and on top of the nose, and this bit is in shadow. So we need that to go a little bit higher. In fact, Can I view from that light? I can. Come on. Why is this bit getting stuck? There we go. Okay, so I need the light to be a little bit bigger. Let's go into object, radius, let's go 4. Didn't like that. Scale will soften the shadows. So what I'm looking at now is how harsh these lines are. The harsher these lines are, the larger the or the smaller the light is. Obviously this is way too dark at the moment, but we'll get to that. Okay, so it's seeing a little bit too much of the side of the eye right now. Just a tiny, tiny bit, so we need to move it that way. The highlight needs to be there as well. Which currently is sat here, isn't it? So actually, we need to do something more like that. Then let's up the exposure. Let's go to 11. Something to consider is the fact that his skin is not this color. So our lighting will throw this off a fair bit. Or sorry, our material will throw off our lighting a fair bit. Okay. I'm going to kill that so I can do comparisons. Let's go even brighter. Why didn't that change? There we go. This should blow out. There we go. Okay. Hello. That's lower than it was before. Why is that? See what the eyes are doing at this kind of brightness. This is way too bright, but let's go settings. Is that what I need? No, it's a canvas. Grayscale. Yes, that's too bright. Let's go to 0.8. This is a little bit too dark. Granted, skin texture might start taking over at this stage. So what I might do is just do a little bit of artistic lighting. So this light needs to be... Oh shit, didn't mean to do that. tiny bit. Let's soften the light. While I'm at it, let's go to the color. I'm just going to put the temperature up a tiny bit. Which well, technically means down. So let's go 4.8. Really looking forward to doing Groom for this project. It's going to be a fun one. Okay, so let's change to perspective camera. So something to be acutely aware of is the fact that in the real world his lighting would not have been that close. So he would have been looking at, let's think about this. So he would have been stood in front, like a few meters in front of a mirror. Basically, the way that I imagine this scene is, this is a self-portrait. So naturally, you know, an artist as talented as he is gonna really know the importance of reference. So he'll be stood looking at a mirror, painting on a canvas that's about here, just off screen. So the focal length is whatever distance the mirror is to this guy. The light is going to be more than likely a window, because this is the late 1800s. Well, actually, no, this is 1907 when this was painted. So, although indoor lighting was a thing, they didn't have big softboxes and that sort of shit. That it just wasn't really a thing. So, what I'm looking at right now would have been a window about here-ish, and the sun coming through that. So by me having the light this close, it's purely for kind of artistic control more than actual accuracy. Because something I really want to get right in this project is, yes, I want to recreate this image, but I want to make something that the priority is on making something that is artistically beautiful, not something that is 100% accurate to the real life. Because I think one of the pitfalls that a lot of CG artists fall into is like getting trapped on that thing of making everything photoreal, like everything's database and all that sort of shit. It's really easy to get hooked into that, and this is something that I've been guilty of for years. It's way too easy to get hooked into quote-unquote physical accuracy. But the thing that I always mentally now try to come back to is, like, basically everything we do is never going to be physically correct. Just because shaders make assumptions, lighting, like render engines can't simulate every bounce of light, so everything we do is already an approximation, so why worry too much about physical accuracy? There is obviously a line, and granted my eye is a perfect example of caring too much about physical accuracy. This result I could have got much easier with a geometry than the volume effect I'm doing right now, but that's more of a learning thing. But yeah, so this grayscale, there is a shortcut, Control-Alt-G. I think this light needs to be bigger. So let's just kill that, and then going to start a new render. I'm going to Object, and I'm going to do double the size. So we'll see the shadows get a bit softer. And by extension we'll have to move the light again for it to match. That's getting a bit of a nicer fall off now. This line is just a little bit blurrier. I'm going to go even bigger. I'm going to go to like 8. Oh, that might be too soft now. Because there is still a line. Although a certain amount of that is proximity effect. Oh yes, this is something as well in the world of lighting. So there is, I don't know the technical term for it. I call it a proximity effect. Basically, the closer an object is to its shadow, the sharper that shadow is. Basically, as something gets further from an object, as something gets further from its own shadow, there's more space for light to kind of leak around. So shadows directly next to something like this nose shadow is going to be sharper than shadows like here, for example. So the reason that this is not having the same effect in my scene is because my light is closer. So my light is almost like reaching around the nose, whereas a small light, oh sorry, a large light but that's really far away, will get that proximity effect back in. There's a really fine balance to be struck with that sort of shit. But yeah, let's go into 1 second. Kind of like this, but we do need to reduce it. Let's go down to 6. In fact, I'm gonna save that. Go down to 6. I'll be a tiny bit sharper. And let's go into our light and just tilt it slightly that way. That cheek is slightly lit, so I think this is going to get pretty close now. That kind of works. Something as well worth considering is the fact that the this eye is facing towards the camera, whereas mine is facing forward. So actually, we need a little bit more space, so back that way. And I'm going to make it a little bit more tinted, temperature-wise. Let's go 4, 5. Let's go 0.4 actually. So I do wish there was a Kelvin system. It'd be really nice. A little bit too tinted. Let's go 4, 4. Let that do its thing for a moment. Okay. Okay, where's the catalogue? There it is. Lighting is so important. I always forget like how big of a difference good lighting can make. Granted, this isn't good lighting, but it will get there. Okay, so let's get a nice little rim light in there. I know it's not in the ref, but I kind of want to add one anyway. I'll keep it sole, which is not a sentence I usually actually uphold. Let's rename this to key LGT. Add a new light. This one's going to be another rectangle light, if we can find it. Quad light. Rim LGT. Cool. And then viewer, we're just going to go to rim light. Start this. Okay, let's whack this up to 7. Let's see my camera. Oh, well, this isn't weak right now. I will be pulling it the strength back a little bit. Okay, let's whack that back down. So I'm just gonna kill that, start it rendering again. There we go, and let's just whack it down to 10 exposure. Let's go even weaker. Let's go 9, 8. While I'm at it, perspective. That works for me. It's a little bit more tasteful. I do have a temptation to make it pink, honestly, because I do love me the colour pink. Is someone watching TikTok in the background? Probably Becca, yeah. I can't hear over my headphones. I think she's just chilling in a bath at the moment. There we go. Cool. Let's kill that. Save. Go to our correct camera. Just see how that looks. Might look like complete dog shit. Let's find out. So there's definitely a tapering of the strength of that light. It's kind of falling down. Which, personally, I like. But it might be something we have to look into. Let's make the background light less visible. So contributions, just going to set camera to 0, which I think is the default. It is. So I really don't like the black backgrounds. I feel like at some point I'm just going to have to make like an actual material for background lights. Like rather than having like a dome light in here, actually just create a geometry that's a sphere, set it to be a mesh light, and create a network material. That's working though. Let's go to the last saved one, which is this guy. Okay, do we have a better one to look at? close is the eye colour? Not too far off. Mine's a little bit too saturated, isn't it? Yeah, it's a touch too saturated. Alright, let's go into the eye materials. We got the iris. Give this a moment to do its thing. For some reason, whenever I open up a ramp, the colours for a while are completely wrong. So select this guy again, and go back to him. There you go. So we just need to down the saturation just slightly. Let's go 0.75, so 25% reduction. Let's go 50% because we already. The problem is we're already quite low. This is the difference. Right, let's give that a shot. Might be a little bit too bright now as well. Okay, let's go with less subtle. Let's go 0.5. Did make a difference, but I don't think it's quite right yet. We're getting close. Mine's just a little bit too blue, which I think is a saturation thing. Need to let it clean up. It's getting like progressively less saturated every time it like actually does a sample. I think that's pretty close now. Cool, we'll call that it. Right, okay, so let's undo that. I'll not undo it, but yeah, on point. Do a test render of this guy. ZBrush, I'm going to save because we've got a placeholder now. Let's go to modeling. ZBrush. At some point, I'll have to, yeah, I need to chat to 3D Scan Store. I think next stream, unless I've got some scans, I'll start on base textures to get everything kind of generally in place. That's saved, so let's kill that. Let's just save it again just in case. Cool. And then Maya. I'll save that. Cool. So let's check. Yeah, it's subtle. The eye's now less green. Do kind of want that background back though. I'm going to change this layout back to mine, which I think is composite free pane. It's the one that I like to use. There we go. I really like this one. Gives you a little bit more like real estate for your renders. Right, so we've got the sculpt onto the model. we've fixed the corner of the eye, which was like really pointy before. Changed the color of the eye. Hey, hard to catch you at this hour. Yeah, I'm glad to see. Yeah, I'm glad to see you keep sharing awesome art and workflows. Cheers, man. Glad you appreciate it, and I appreciate your appreciation. Need to figure out what this is. It's coming from nowhere. Like, I don't think that's a UV seam. In terms of like, there is a seam that goes along the middle of the face, but I don't think it crosses that part of the nose. It'd be really weird if it did. We could always update the UVs, but yeah. Anyway, that'll be it for today's stream. Next stream will be one of two things. It will either be getting scan data from 3D Scan Store and applying it as like a high frequency displacement, and probably at the same time fixing the overlap of the eyelid, because currently it's just kind of sculpted in. It's not actually like an overlap. Or it will be doing a block out of skin textures, and probably eye textures too, because currently we're just stealing from the Pero, and the eyes are not the same color. Like, the iris is a bit closer now, but the actual sclera on the sky is very red. And the way this guy uses color is gorgeous, so I've got a feeling he's probably quite accurate with that. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to let this render, and then I'll render the progress thing. In fact, actually, I can show you guys that. So, I've got a little scene in Nuke that I'm using to kind of throw all of the renders together. So just give this a moment. I can just leave this going in the background. Yep, so currently all of our work has been this, to this, to this, to that, to that, to that, to that, to that, and then I did that off stream. So like off stream I just did literally that. But yeah, so there we go, that's progress. It's one of the things I like doing about digidoubles, is like it's really easy to do like progress renders. Like if you're doing like a likeness. But yeah, so I'll be doing a progress render with this same... I'll probably do the same lighting for a little bit, I think. Just for the presentation, it's a little bit easier to read. Or just for the progress renders, sorry. And then later on, once we've got colors, I'll probably throw the lighting, like the updated lighting in. But yeah, anyway. Kill that. Yeah, so that's going to be the end of the stream. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm going to head off now and probably play some video games. Probably some Forza or something. Hope you all have a good night. Next stream, today is Monday, right? Today is Monday. Next stream could probably be tomorrow. It depends entirely on when I get files sent. And from there, we'll see where it goes. In the meantime, have a good night and see you in the next one. Bye.